Today we celebrate feminine beauty in this theme and era, expressed through style, elegance, posture, and presence. Picture stepping on to church steps in 1954, when Sunday morning meant transformation. Women didn't just get dressed, they composed themselves into living portraits of grace, each detail deliberate, each accessory essential. This was feminine beauty at its most intentional, where preparation itself became an art form. What made Sunday best so unforgettable wasn't just the clothes, it was the ritual of becoming. In an era when 78% of Americans attended church regularly, Sunday morning represented the weekly pinnacle of public presentation. Women understood that stepping into their community meant stepping into a role that demanded their finest self, expressed through every carefully chosen element from hatpin to heel. This wasn't everyday fashion elevated. This was a completely separate vocabulary of dress that emerged from post-war prosperity and spiritual renewal. The 1950s brought economic confidence and social stability that allowed women to invest in quality pieces specifically designated for worship and community gathering. Department stores dedicated entire floors to what they called Sunday wardrobes, recognizing that these weren't just clothes but costumes for civic participation. Women saved 4 months to acquire the perfect hat, the right gloves, the coat that would carry them through seasons of Sunday mornings. The silhouette spoke first. Fitted coats with defined waists that celebrated the feminine form without revealing it, skirts that fell precisely at mid-calf, creating that distinctive 1950s proportion that suggested both modesty and sophistication. Fabrics held weight and structure: wool crepe, silk fail, cotton peak that could hold a press through an entire service and social hour afterward. Colors ran deep and rich: navy, forest green, burgundy, charcoal, punctuated by crisp white gloves and pearl accessories that caught the light filtering through stained glass windows. But it was the accessories that truly defined Sunday best femininity. Hats weren't optional, they were architectural statements that framed the face and announced intention. Picture the small veiled pillbox perched at the perfect angle, or the wide-brimmed creation adorned with a single silk flower that transformed an ordinary woman into someone worthy of notice. Gloves extended the line of the arm, creating elegance in gesture: white kid leather for spring, black patent for winter, each pair representing an investment in refinement. Handbags matched shoes in color and formality, structured pieces that held prayer books, lipstick for post-service touch-ups, and mint tablets wrapped in handkerchiefs. The beauty lay in the details that only other women would notice, but everyone would feel. The way a properly fitted coat made shoulders appear more graceful, how a hat's angle could suggest confidence or humility. The subtle luxury of real pearl earrings against freshly set hair. This was feminine beauty constructed through layers of consideration, where each element served both practical and aesthetic purpose, creating women who moved through their Sunday world with the kind of presence that made observers pause and appreciate the care taken in presentation. The 1950s Sunday morning ritual began hours before church bells rang, transforming ordinary women into polished versions of themselves through meticulous preparation and attention to feminine grace. The look concluded with shoes that clicked purposefully on marble church floors, leather pumps with modest heels that provided height without sacrificing stability, often in patent leather that reflected light like liquid obsidian. Hair emerged from pin curls and setting lotion as sculptured waves that would hold their shape through hymns, sermons, and afternoon social calls. Lipstick in shades named Cherries in the Snow and Fire and Ice provided the single note of dramatic color against otherwise restrained palettes. Applied with precision using compact mirrors that snapped shut with satisfying clicks. This was the culture of intentional femininity, where Sunday best represented far more than clothing. It was community theater performed on church steps and fellowship halls across America. Women gathered in powder rooms to adjust hat pins and refresh lipstick, creating impromptu salons where compliments flowed as freely as Aquanet hairspray. The ritual extended beyond the sanctuary, Sunday dinner preparations that began Saturday night, garden parties that spilled onto carefully maintained lawns, afternoon drives where properly attired women waved from passenger seats of gleaming automobiles. These women inhabited spaces designed to showcase their refinement. Church pews where they arranged themselves with practiced grace. Department store rooms where they met for lunch after service. Photography studios where families captured their Sunday finest for posterity. The social calendar revolved around occasions that demanded this level of presentation: church suppers, missionary circle meetings, wedding receptions where Sunday best became the standard for appropriate celebration attire. Consider the sensory memory of this world: the whisper of taffeta against silk slips, the distinctive sound of high heels on wooden church floors, the gentle rustle of programs being opened during announcements. Perfumes carried names like White Shoulders and Evening in Paris, applied sparingly to wrists and behind ears, where they wouldn't compete with the scent of fresh flowers arranged by the ladies' auxiliary. Handbags contained not just necessities, but small luxuries: embroidered handkerchiefs, silver compacts engraved with monograms, prayer cards from special services. The culture extended into Monday through Saturday as well, where women planned and prepared for Sunday's presentation. Hat boxes lined bedroom closets, gloves were cleaned and stored in tissue paper, shoes were polished to mirror brightness. Local department stores like Wanamaker's and Lord Artie Taylor featured specialized Sunday sections. Recognizing that this wasn't casual fashion, but investment dressing that demanded quality construction and timeless appeal. This femme and beauty culture created its own economy of aspiration, where women saved household money to acquire pieces that would elevate their Sunday presentation. The impact of this dedicated approach to Sunday best was about to transform how women understood the relationship between appearance, community, and personal dignity, setting standards that would influence feminine presentation far beyond church walls. Sunday best feminine beauty of the 1950s created ripples that extended far beyond sanctuary walls, establishing new standards for how women understood public presentation and personal dignity. The impact began in the workplace, where women who had mastered Sunday elegance brought refined sensibilities to office environments throughout the week. Department stores noticed the trend immediately. Sales of coordinated accessories increased by 40% between 1952 and 1958, as women applied Sunday best principles to everyday dressing. Fashion magazines like Ladies' Home Journal and McCall's began featuring church-to-cocktails editorial spreads, recognizing that Sunday morning sophistication was becoming the blueprint for all-occasion feminine style. Television programming reflected this influence as well. Shows like Queen for a Day and early variety programs showcased women whose Sunday best presentation had become their signature look, inspiring viewers to elevate their own standards of public appearance. Hollywood costume designers studied church fashion, understanding that authentic feminine elegance was being perfected not on movie sets, but on Sunday morning sidewalks across America. The retail industry responded by creating entire business models around Sunday best culture. Millinery departments expanded their offerings. Hat rentals became available for special occasions, and glove boutiques offered cleaning and repair services that kept accessories looking pristine week after week. Department store window displays featured complete Sunday ensembles, understanding that women purchased not individual pieces but entire presentations. Women's magazines documented the social influence, reporting on how Sunday best standards were being adopted for weddings, graduations, and civic events. The culture created its own vocabulary of appropriateness. women learned to distinguish between church-suitable and dinner-appropriate, developing sophisticated understanding of how accessories, fabrics, and proportions communicated respect, occasion awareness, and personal refinement. This femme and beauty movement influenced architecture and urban planning as well. Churches expanded their foyer spaces to accommodate the social aspects of Sunday gathering. Department stores created dedicated areas for Sunday shoppers. And even automobile manufacturers began designing cars with consideration for how women in Sunday best would enter and exit their vehicles while maintaining composure and elegance. First, the signature of Sunday best feminine beauty was the architectural hat. Not merely worn but positioned as a sculptural element that transformed the wearer's silhouette and commanded attention through careful angles and considered adornment. Second, the language of gloves spoke volumes about refinement and intention. Creating graceful gestures that elevated every handshake, every page turned in a hymnal, every moment of public interaction into an opportunity for feminine elegance. Third, the mastery of proportion through fitted coats and precisely hemmed skirts created a silhouette that celebrated the female form while maintaining dignity and appropriateness for sacred and social spaces. This Sunday best femme and beauty endures because it represented something profound about women's understanding of transformation and presentation. It wasn't about perfection, it was about intention. The conscious decision to honor both oneself and community, through careful attention to appearance and deportment. These women understood that Sunday morning offered a weekly opportunity to become their most refined selves. Creating a culture where feminine beauty meant thoughtful preparation, quality over quantity, and the understanding that true elegance comes from the marriage of inner confidence and outer polish. Today, when we glimpse vintage photographs of women on church steps, we recognize something we've perhaps lost. The understanding that dressing well is a form of respect, both for oneself and for the community we enter. Their legacy reminds us that feminine beauty reaches its highest expression, not through casual comfort, but through the deliberate cultivation of grace. The investment in quality that transcends trends, and the recognition that how we present ourselves to the world matters deeply.